What up? Howdy, howdy, howdy to all my friends and family out there in internet land. I see you all, and I appreciate you guys hanging out. I know it's later than we usually are at. What's up, Duran? Good to see you, my friend. I know it is later than we're usually at. Usually we're about 2 hours earlier, but I had a con out in Tahoe, so I was rushing to beat traffic. So I just got home like 30 minutes ago, set up my computer, and boom, bada bing, here we go. Of course, you can see the brains of the operation is not here, so I'm doing my best not to burn down the house tonight. For all of you, I want to let you know, too, there might be a little bit of confusion out there in internet land, but some of you may know, if you have been watching our counter, that we hit 2,200 subscribers. Yay! So that would mean that typically we would be doing a Saber giveaway tonight, but because I don't know how to run the wheel, and Marissa carries all the brains, we are going to do that for next week. So make sure to tune in next week. All you little people over here in the comment box, you're getting advance notice, just like we did a couple of weeks ago. We've been giving out a lot of Sabers lately. That's a good thing. It's just showing that we're growing. But we will be doing a Saber giveaway next Sunday at 7 p.m. show. So all you got to do is just tune back in. Let all your friends, your family know. Tune in next Sunday at 7 p.m. Leave a comment. Make it a nice comment, because this is a family-friendly show, kindly. And at the end of the show, the computer picks up whoever left a comment, and somebody walks home with the Saber. So can't really beat that. That will be a good thing. We are definitely going to be on the road, too. Kyber Cave is moving. We have been doing, the last 3 weekends in a row, I think we've been at conventions. Next weekend, we are going to be in Oregon. And the weekend after that, we are going to be down in Clovis at the Weekend Blender. So if we don't see you in Medford, Oregon, or Clovis, don't forget to visit us at the shop in Vacaville. We are inside, all funked up on the back wall. So we are the place for your Saber needs. Hola! So good to see you. Thank you for tuning in tonight. All right, or hello. Either will work. I also want to remind you, head over to kybercave.com. We have Sabers there, all the Sabers that you need. We carry, people have asked me about the Saber Theory. Saber Theory is another big YouTuber. He also does Star Wars Saber. Just to let you know, our Sabers are the same exact company. We both carry TXQ. Was the show on time? Well, we started about 9:02, so I was about 2 minutes late. You can't hold me to that. We did pretty good. Yeah. Alrighty. So I am going to be skipping with the nerdy news tonight, only because I was not I didn't know what news we were going to be covering, but I definitely did want to talk about and acknowledge the passing of the great James Earl Jones, aka Simba, or the voice of Darth Vader. He passed away recently. A lot of our Star Wars heroes are passing. So whenever you can, get out to the cons, try to go see some of these actors and people that you admire, because they may not be here for all too much longer. Don't forget, you can also support us on our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. We'll send you all kinds of cool gifts at different levels, including custom-made lightsabers, something that you can only have, you will be the only one on the planet to own that. So make sure to check out kybercave.com if you have any questions. We are here for you. All right. So as we are skipping the nerdy news tonight, we are going to go directly into our flow of the show. This is somebody that has been on here multiple times before. This is a Saber and Fire dancer. Please give it up. Also, I want to remind you that this segment is brought to you every week by the fantastic OG flow artist, Mr. James Kaiser himself, aka Dartcephalus, out of Oregon. He brings us all these fantastic flow artists every week, and this week we have Charred Fool. So here we go. That was Charred Fool, and he had that big brushy beard and long hair too. Those people always scare me with the long hair. I'm always worried that somebody's going to set themselves on fire. Speaking of which, I just saw today Mary Gibb, who some of you may remember has been on our show before. She was the voice of Boo from Monsters Inc. She was a little baby at the time. She's a grown woman now, but you may or may not remember. And if you have not, I encourage you to check. Go into your YouTube search bar, type in Kyber Cave, and then type in Mary Gibb. She did a fire dart performance on our show as well. So that was absolutely amazing. If you want to see Boo from Monsters Inc. doing fire darts on a beach, make sure to go check out that episode. And she will be on here. I talked to her and I talked to C. Andrew Nelson earlier today. Both of them are working together on almost like the old school radio type show productions. So they are going to be ready to release in December, and we will have them back on here to discuss all of that and let us know what they are doing. All right, I'm going to get directly into our interview right now. I am very, very excited about this. This is a gentleman we've had on here before. If you are in Northern California or if you've been following Kyber Cave, his shows should be nothing new to you. He presently does a show in California, Nevada, two in Oregon, and Idaho, I believe. So this gentleman is all over the place, and we're going to find out how he does it, when he sleeps, and how his wife puts up with him. So with no further ado, please give it up for our friend, Mr. David Hawthorne of Colossal Girl Entertainments. Well, hello there.
Konnichiwa and hola.
Konnichiwa to you. How you doing tonight?
Good. It's a great night to be here for sure.
Oh man, I've seen you. I like how we were talking earlier. I saw you in Distance Nerding earlier, doing the rounds early in the week. You got a lot to do the week before a convention comes on, huh? What's up, Ezra? Sorry.
Well, believe it or not, Marina does most of it. She does 90% of it. So I got to give her all the credit. But
I believe it.
but I'm very excited that Duran is here watching this. I'm a big fan.
Who knew Simon Le Bon would be such a fan of lightsabers?
Absolutely.
So why don't you tell us, now I know as we said in the introduction, you do a number of different conventions. We're here specifically talking about Anna Medford tonight, but I want to talk about what makes, I just did a convention with you, what was it, 2 months ago, month and a half ago or so, up in Medford?
Silver Age Comic Con in Reno, right?
In Reno, right. What makes Anna Medford different than the other show that you do also in Medford?
Well, anime, if you've ever been to a Comic-Con and an anime convention, you know that they're two different animals. You know what I mean?
Right.
Specifically attendees at Comic-Cons, you get a mixture of everybody, and you'll get a lot of older guys like my age that are digging through comic books from the 70s and, all that, looking for loose figures and all that kind of stuff. And then, at anime conventions, it's usually people between 15 and 21 usually. And they're just hanging out, having a good time, hanging out with friends, eating, seeing celebrities and just having a good time hanging out, trading stickers with each other and doing karaoke. And it's just a whole different crowd, a whole different vibe. It's a whole different, culture. It's anime is a very cultured event compared to, I think, a Comic-Con.
Right. And it seems like there really has been a push and a rise in not just anime, but a lot of Asian culture in general. I saw San Jose, they were doing a K-pop convention. So,
Mm.
people are really into a lot of that offering. What do you think has been the big changer lately? Why is have our tastes diversified so much?
Well, you know what? I just think it's social media and I think it's technology. I don't know how old you are, but when I was going to school, when we were watching anime, it was Manzinger Z, it was Getter Robo, it was a lot of this original Lupin stuff, a lot of the older stuff from the
Right.
70s and 80s. And there'd be a couple of kids who had a connection who would smuggle out VHS tapes from Japan or knew someone from Japan. And you would just go around friend to friend trading these VHS tapes and watching anime with no subtitles. You don't know any Japanese at all. And
Right.
you're just watching it. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, San Jose, California, born and raised. And there was a channel out of San Francisco called Channel 26, which was a Japanese channel. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, they would show uncut anime. And you'd watch, like nudity and people getting their heads chopped off. And
Right.
you'd have that at 1 o'clock in the morning on this Japanese channel. And then on weekdays, you'd come home from school at 3:30 and watch Star Blazers, which was completely sanitized. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
or Voltron, for example.
It was a very different time period back then. I just want to acknowledge really quick, we have a minor celebrity in the house here. We have Jest, aka Joshua Pilla. You've probably seen him on a bunch of TikTok videos making lightsabers float around his body just like he's using magic in front of the Millennium Falcon. What's up, Jess? That's a guy you got to have come out to your con sometimes. This guy's an amazing flow artist.
Absolutely.
So you're a big anime fan yourself?
Yeah, I'm a big anime fan. I have loads of anime, loads of tokusatsu. I'm huge on the Ultraman. I have every single Mill Creek Ultraman release that's been made. I'm into Super Sentai. I'm not into the Power Rangers. I'm into the original stuff.
Right.
And I keep pushing for them to release the first 15 seasons of Super Sentai, but I don't think they'll ever do it. But the first 4 seasons were probably my favorite. So Kamen Rider, I love Kamen Rider. I just pre-ordered Kamen Rider V3 on Amazon, which was just opened up yesterday for pre-orders. So I'm big with anime and tokusatsu and a lot of Japanese film and entertainment. Godzilla, of course. I grew up with Godzilla. You remember watching Saturdays Dialing for Dollars on Channel 2?
Yes.
Watching Godzilla, and and all of that. It's just you just grow up with it. And I think it was, for us, we had to watch it like on a Saturday morning or a Saturday afternoon on a TV channel when we only had 5 channels and there was no cable back then.
Right.
Now you have social media, technology, you have manga, all this stuff that's out there that you can get readily at any time you want. And you don't have to go to Japan anymore to get those Godzilla exclusives. They'll mail them to you. So there's a lot more anime exposure now compared to what it was in the past. I think that's why anime is so popular, is people have it readily available. Crunchyroll, Funimation, all of that. What's happening today is just something we only dreamed about back in the day. So kids have it pretty lucky.
Right. And I love how in this culture, because I grew up in a time period where, you were a Star Wars fan or a Star Trek fan, you were a nerd, and it was kind of a hidden kind of underground thing that you talked about with your friends. Now it's just, it's so much the norm. And I love seeing how free and open people are to create costumes of their favorite characters. How do you feel about the costume aspect of the whole convention scene? That really has been something that has grown exponentially since it has begun. These costumes are so intricate nowadays.
Right. Well, a lot of my video games that I play on my Nintendo Switch are actually Japanese imports. And a lot of the costuming that you see a lot of times is from a lot of these video games.
Right.
And, they're talented. I can never make a costume. I can never hand make an anime costume, but I love seeing them. I'm just shocked every show we do, because every year someone comes up with some new stuff or some
Right.
new hot characters and things like that, and it's great. And I love taking photos with them, and I love taking photos when they're at the event, so we post them up on our archives on the convention page and things like that. So we are very heavy in supporting cosplay and costuming in general.
Oh, I definitely think it's an underappreciated art form. There is so much art and work that goes into creating a lot of these costumes.
Right.
So I want to ask you. I remember you and I had talked before, and I had kind of a happy memory. It's just kind of weird how the world works. But my son, when he was younger, the first convention I ever took him to was a random convention called CampbellCon. Turned out it was a convention that you produced, and this is back when I was a teacher, so I had no, lightsabers weren't even a thought in my head. I had no interest in conventions other than just to go, for fun. But I, since CampbellCon, and now that moved to Reno and turned into Silver Age, and you've just been growing and expanding. How have you made this happen, and seemingly very quickly?
Yeah, well, it's funny. That was your son's first show, CampbellCon.
It was first convention ever.
It's amazing, because that show was just a very small community show. We really kind of didn't know what we were doing at the time, but I was in Boise recently, and I was talking to this girl. She was about 24 years old or 25. And she goes, yeah, when I lived out in California, my first show was this show called CampbellCon. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We're sitting here in Boise, Idaho, and you said your first con was CampbellCon. I go, that's a small world. She goes, yeah, I used to live in Campbell. I go, well, I did that show.
Right.
And then she was shocked. And believe it or not, and that's the impact CampbellCon made. It was small. It was like 75 tables. Mm-hmm. We had one hall, that, small hall, and then we had a couple of breakout rooms with panels and stuff like that.
I specifically remember that you had Stephen Constantino,
right?
Constantino, the Gamorrean Guard. Yeah. You had a Pink Ranger. I don't know which Pink Ranger you had.
Allison McGinnis, I think, yeah.
And you had the actor that was from Back to the Future 2 that played Marty McFly's father. That there was a controversy around him. Yeah. That was so cool. It is amazing how you can do something, and for you, it was your first event, but it has such an impact on so many people's lives.
Right. Well, what it was Marina, we would go to these big shows, Wizard World, all these kinds of things. And she would look at the price, $250 for a family to get in, right. $50 to get in the door. And she goes, wouldn't it be cool if everyone could afford this? So she goes, why don't we just start doing shows for, $10 just to get in, and free swag for people and all this stuff. So all that was kind of her baby, and she created that. And because she wanted conventions to be readily available to everybody, just not the people who could afford it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's where it really all started. And the sales point also was, to go to like CampbellCon and experience an intimate experience with the actors, because I went to a convention and I went to see Sebastian Stan, right? And waiting in line, and he doesn't look at you. The actor doesn't look at you. There's a volunteer on each side. The volunteer takes your item, gives it to Sebastian. Sebastian signs it, gives it to the other volunteer. You had to go to the other side, take your item, and leave without even making eye contact or talking.
That sounds terrible.
They tell you don't even talk to the talent. They got tons of autographs to sign. And we wanted to do it where, you can sit with the Pink Ranger with a cup of coffee and talk to her about Power Rangers.
Right.
As long as you want, without rush.
And that, I will tell you that was, for me, now I had been to cons before. In fact, I used to live in San Diego. So when it was much younger, I'd been to San Diego Comic-Con when you could actually get in there. But I had been to other cons, and I had it, I had things to compare it to. But I was absolutely amazed, and I totally apologize for forgetting his name. The actor that was from Back to the Future too. I remember sitting at the table and talking to him for like 10 minutes and waiting for somebody to tap me on the shoulder and say, "Hey, buddy, it's time for you to move on. You know, let the man be." You know, but we talked about you know, him being in the contraption where he was held upside down and how he was held there for so long, and did he get claustrophobic? And I was like, man, this guy's just a regular guy.
Right. And you know, and that's the thing is, you know, those are experiences you'll remember forever.
Right.
You know, and those are good experiences. And we have each show and we treat it like it's a historical moment, because each event is a historical moment.
Right.
We're all there together in that time period, enjoying something, you know,
Right.
and that'll always be remembered. Like, you know, we like Silver Age in Reno, Nevada. You know, a little kid to come up to me and say, "Oh, it's my first con." And he's 7 years old, right?
Right.
I said, you know, by the time he's 40, he'll still remember his first show. I'll be long dead, but he'll still remember that, you know, and to us, that's important, that after we're long and gone, people are still going to remember their first shows and their experiences at the conventions.
Right, right. Now, I know you and I were talking a little bit earlier, so this isn't something people in the audience would know, but you were saying that you don't often follow other conventions now, so you don't know what other people are doing at their shows. Did you used to be more? You were talking about going to other shows. Did you used to attend more cons to give you an idea of, man, I really like this part of the con, but I don't like that thing. And if I was going to run my own, I would have this element and I would have this element and merge them together.
Yeah. Well, you know, like I mentioned earlier, before the show started, you know, being a Raiders fan, and Tom Flores, one of my favorite head coaches, and he said, you know, we just pay attention to our own team. If you just pay attention to your own team, you don't have to worry about anything else. Just worry about winning and making sure you're the best. And it doesn't matter what the other team does. As long as you do the best, then you're going to come up a winner no matter what. So, yeah, we don't focus or pay attention to any other shows. So we don't know what other shows are out there at all.
Right. I find that interesting because you and I were just talking, and you know, some of the people in the audience may know, like this weekend I was just at Lake Tahoe Con. The weekend before that we were at Kaboom Con, which was in Carson, and then, you know, and then we had Silver Age earlier in the summer. So I just feel like I feel like you created kind of a ripple effect in that area to where people have come to your show and now they want to start doing more of it, which I think is good. You know, I mean, not to step on your toes, but, you know, for the fans in the area, for them to be able to get multiple shows in a year as opposed to, you know, a show that comes once or twice a year.
Yeah. Well, you know, my opinion on that is I don't think it's a good idea because, you know, when I was a kid, I used to go to TimeCon out in San Jose, California. It was a Doctor Who convention. If anyone knows or heard of TimeCon, raise your hand, because we're blood brothers or blood sisters, whatever, because that was a special event that used to happen once a year. And you would mow lawns and save money all year round for that one event, and then just spend it all on that one event, on autographs or whatever it was that you wanted to spend your money on. And, you know, I think it's important to get back to that. I think my Comic-Con values are very old school, traditional, where I believe one city, one con per city. You know, because what happens is you get saturated, and then it's not special anymore, and nobody really cares. And they go, well, you know, there's this show in Sacramento this weekend, but there's another one next week in Sacramento. So I don't, you know, I can wait. I'll look at the guest list and see which one I want to go to or whatever. And when it gets so diluted, it's just not special anymore. Or if you have a great show in Stockton, for example, and then you have like maybe 5 other people that do shows in Stockton that are just not good, or they don't have celebrities, or they don't have artists or anything like that. And then you've never been to the good Stockton show. You go to the lesser one and you're like, oh, that wasn't very good. And then you
Right.
see the big Stockton show, and you're like, no, I've been to one of those. I don't think I'm ever going to go back again. So,
Right. Wow.
and then when you're hurting the show that brings all the celebrities, all the good stuff, well, if you don't go, then they won't be around anymore, and then you won't have any shows. It'll be.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just kind of like old school thinking on that. So
Right.
we are very respectful, like, of other conventions, even though we don't keep track of other conventions. So, for example, say we wanted to do a show in San Francisco, for example, we look and see if there's any conventions there at all.
Right.
If there is a convention there, we say, no, we're not going to do a show there. We got to look at another city. If there's no shows there, we say, okay, let's do it. Let's look at the demographics. Let's look at the fan base. Let's, do a lot of R&D on it. And then we decide from there. But if there's already a show in town, we do not go into that town at all.
Right.
It's out of respect for that promoter.
How is it for you when because you do you do Powerhouse, which is what, Alameda? I guess technically is that Alameda or
County Fairgrounds, but
right.
If
And
you
so
have
you do that.
Let's go ahead.
So, you do that here in California where, we are a bit oversaturated on shows. We used to have a segment on this show, in fact, called Kevin's California Comic-Con Report. And literally, Kevin Hogan, you might know who he is, but he literally went to 2 conventions every single weekend.
Wow.
And took photos and talked 2 every single weekend in, California. You go to some states, they may have 1 or 2 conventions, a year. And here, I mean, if you're into My Little Pony, if you're into Disney, there's a convention for Transformers, G.I. Joe. There's something specific for everybody out here. So then you also, let's take that and compare that and contrast that to, say, doing Medford, or you do Idaho as well, right? Correct?
Right.
Out there, how are the markets there compared to, say, California, where you're competing with so many other shows?
Well, we can use Powerhouse as a good example. And I don't think you heard the news yet, but Powerhouse was earlier this year in California. Mm-hmm. And after the show, it was a great show. We were in the black. It was a successful show. Right. But we came to realize that the state of California is just not our business model anymore. It doesn't fit the business model. And it has changed quite a bit since Powerhouse started 8 years ago. Right. So we actually looked around for a location that reminded us of what the Bay Area was like 8 to 10 years ago when we first started Powerhouse. Right. And we moved it to Tri-Cities, Washington for 2025.
Wow.
So yeah, we got out of California altogether because of, it's just the area just doesn't fit our business model anymore.
Right. It seems like you're doing a lot more northwest. Northwest. Is there a reason for that? Are they hungry for cons up north of us?
Well, there's no other cons out there. That's why we do it, because for people in Southern Oregon, they have to go all the way to Portland. Wow. That's a 3.5 hour drive. Well, instead of having them, a lot of people can't afford it. Yeah. So why not bring it to them instead of them having to, have to go through the trouble of driving all the way up there.
Right. What was interesting when we did your show in Medford last time, we had a little mini convention in our shop like the weekend after. That was August 3rd weekend. And I remember we had at least 2 people that they had met us at your convention and drove down. I was like, nice. You guys drove 6 hours to our store? Wow. One family was from Reading, so they drove from Reading to your convention, and then they were like halfway between both of us. So, but I do remember one family was actually from Medford. So I was amazed that people would drive that far to go see a con.
Yeah, but when you were at Metal Art Comic Con earlier this year, you really made an impact with your lightsabers.
Oh yeah,
you did. I mean, there was people there the whole time at your table. I don't even think you had a break. I don't know what happened. I don't know. It's a good problem to have.
We like to have fun with our customers.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a great show, and I know I know, especially in Reno, there felt like almost the special kind of energy where people were just so happy, they were so excited to be there, and it just felt very different than a lot of the conventions that I go to. The other thing that's nice too is you guys typically have Distance Nerding come out, and they'll speak to the celebrities and they'll do your panels. But I know Distance Nerding goes around and they try to amp up the crowd and do giveaways and raffles and things like that as well.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a good partnership because, they're doing us a service by doing the panels, and we're doing them a service by having them interview the guests, which they can have them bring onto their show later, or they can record it and put it on Comic-Con radio, and that really helps pump up their podcast.
Yeah. It's definitely been a great relationship. And I love seeing them be a part of that. What at this point do you said that you were moving Powerhouse up to Seattle? Are you
Tri-Cities?
Sorry about that, Tri-Cities. I apologize. Okay. Are you looking to expand more, or are you trying to just keep what you have consistent and solid?
Well, that depends. Every year we come to that conclusion. We come to make decisions.
Right.
Reno, it just exploded for us. So every year that gets bigger and bigger. We just added a couple of more halls to it for next year.
Wow.
So it's going to be even larger.
And when you say we, is that you and Marina, or do you have like
Marina?
a team?
Yeah, Marina and I, right? And and then Boise, Gem State Comic Con. We had Sean Astin there this year.
Wow.
So, and we told the Silver Age Comic Con people, the attendees, say, hey, if you break records or get close to Gem State attendance, we can bring a Sean Astin or someone that big. And this year they did it.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're going to be bringing someone big in 2025. So
no telling who we might get, huh?
Yes. Well, I'm talking to some good people, and yeah. So they met the challenge, and challenge was accepted, and they definitely deserve it. And the same challenge goes for Oregon, those other shows. That they can get the same opportunities of those bigger guests. Where can you pay $10 to get into a show and see Sean Astin? I tell you, it's
right. No, I completely.
And in regards to other locations, you know what? It takes a lot of work. First, we had to look at, like, say somewhere like Montana or South Dakota. You see if there's no shows there. If there's no shows there, we do a lot of analytics, a lot of research and development in the area, attendees, how many people are like Star Wars fans, anime fans. We do a lot of backbone research on it. And then if we believe that this is an area which would have great potential, and then we'll do an event there, and we'll start off small first to test it. And then the next year, if it's good, we'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you just take step. And that's how, like, Reno, like Silver Age Comic Con is, and the other ones is just about taking those steps. There are people who, they go to what's the show I love down there in LA, in Anaheim, WonderCon. I love WonderCon. We're good friends with WonderCon. We're good friends with San Diego. So, those, when I say we don't pay attention to anybody, well, we know them,
Right.
So, and, people will go to like a WonderCon and they'll look around and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. So it's a first year show, 3 days. They've put all their life savings into it, and it bombs.
Right.
Because they didn't do the research. They didn't, do the things that needs to be done. And they didn't start on a 1 day and then work their way up. You know what I mean? That's how it really should be done. Yeah.
And really quickly, I want to remind people in the audience watching, if you have any questions for Dave directly, feel free to add them down in the comments down here, and he can answer them for you. Dave, I want to know, God, it's got to be it's got to be tough to go into a new area like Montana and just say, okay, we're gonna figure this out.
Right.
How do you get your celebrities? Or is it like are these people that you know? Because like Steven, I know you've known him for many years and you're
Yeah.
personal friends with him.
Yeah.
But are a lot of these people friends that you know through other people, or just by the fact that you've been doing shows for so long, people contact you and ask you if you can get on their shows? How do you go about booking your celebrities?
Well, first of all, I look forward to meeting Mezzo one day. I see her comments there. No, when we first started, it was Marina's idea. She goes, I think I could do one of these. I said, well, I'll go ahead and get the actors if you do the business part of it, because I knew some friends who are Marvel artists, and that's how it kind of started there. But for example, like Anna Medford coming up in next weekend.
Yes.
All of those actors I signed with them directly, no agents, nothing at all.
Right.
And I prefer that, because when you don't have to work with an agent, you cut out the middleman, which means you can sign a contract faster. The actor doesn't have to pay 10 to 15% to the agent, so it works both ways. And it's easier to get flights and hotels because it's just one-on-one.
Yeah, totally.
So that whole show there is no agents at all, which is fantastic. When I have to get agents, sometimes it's a lot of work, and it's like pulling teeth, and you have to come to agreements on all kinds of per diems and guarantees and hotels and all these things. And the agent wants to try to get a little bit off the top or whatever. But Stephen Constantino, he's a friend, so I just call him up. Gil Gerard, Buck Rogers, the original Buck Rogers, he's a friend. I can just call him up. A lot of these actors, Sam Jones, I can just call him up.
I think you've had Reb Brown.
Reb Brown is like my older brother. I mean, we talk to each other at least every other week.
Right.
And we just talk. We don't even talk conventions. We don't talk. It's like just two guys. It's what does Red Brown say? Just two moose at the drinking at the lake. You know what I mean? Just drinking water and talking, and it's we don't talk anything about the business. It's just two friends talking, and you can just call people up. So most of the shows, it's a mixture of people I know and other actors I had to get through agents and things like that. So yeah, and there's a lot of agencies out there. So, but doing this now, it'll be our 10-year anniversary coming up in October. So 10 years we've been doing events, and, you've seen a lot of people come and go through those 10 years. So, and there's always new people coming up, and there's always people leaving. And it's interesting to see that, an agent I'm working with now, he's only 19 years old. He's just a kid. But he's one of the best agents. He's great.
You're not talking about Matthew Rose, are you?
No. A young guy named Javier Chavez.
Okay. This Matthew Rose works with C. Andrew Nelson out of London, but that guy, like, you look at him, you're like, dude, are you even out of diapers yet? How are you
like? You say Matthew?
Matthew Rose?
Oh, I know Matthew. Yeah, I haven't worked with him in about 4 years, but I know Matthew.
Yeah. I remember the first time I met him, I think he was just barely out of being a teenager.
He's a good guy.
Very cool.
I like Matthew a lot.
He is very cool. Do you have things that obviously you're doing all these shows. Are you trying to think of like ways how, like, what can I do differently with this show that I haven't done in the past? Or do you try to set a theme or a tone for each location and stick with that? Or do you try to evolve it constantly?
We just try to evolve, and every year the floor is different. And that's Marina does the flooring and does all of that. And the thing is, if you go to a show every year and it's the same floor plan, and it's the same vendors, it's it gets stale after a while. So we're always changing floor plans, and we're always changing things up. There's really no themes. It's just like multi-genre. That's basically it. But we try to bring someone from Star Wars, franchise actors,
Right.
people, actors people want to see. Middle Earth Comic Con this year was kind of an eclectic group of
Right.
actors, and I thought it was the most intriguing lineup that we had. I thought Lou Temple and David Fennoy, they're very intriguing, very interesting people.
Yeah.
People you don't see at cons every day. Dave Fennoy very rarely does cons, and we
Wow.
were just thankful that he came to ours.
Oh, and that guy was a fantastic guy. We were lucky enough to get to talk to him. We went out to dinner with him on one of the nights. He was absolutely fantastic. I've loved everybody that you bring. You seem to bring people that are very personable. I'm not throwing shade at any of the other conventions that I've been to or anything, but
Right.
there just seems to be something different about a Colossal Girl Entertainment show than some of the other conventions. It just seems almost like more warm or family oriented. Nobody's stressing on anything.
Right.
Everybody's having a good time, just milling around, checking out each other's costumes.
Right.
I've never seen any drama at any of your shows. Everybody's happy to be there.
Right. Yeah. The actors, we want to bring actors that want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
We want to bring actors that are happy and want to see the fan base.
Right.
We've signed actors in the past where before the event we started getting a vibe that they really didn't want to be there for the fans. It was kind of, I don't know. So we would cancel them out and find somebody else that actually wants to be there and have a good time. And that's what it's all about, finding actors who want to be there, but also they're not introverts. They're very outgoing, and they want to hang out with the fans. They want to ask Q&As at the panels and things like that. And like Stephen Constantino, at the end, he'll go out to dinner with attendees. I've had actors go out to dinner with attendees. I'm like, are you guys sure you want to do this? Oh, yeah, we'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We had Ming Chen earlier this year, and he was out doing bar crawls, that weekend. So I like to bring those people.
I have a little bit, and I cannot remember the gentleman's name. I'm sure you're going to know, but I have a little bit of an embarrassing story. So we went to your last show in Medford, and then before we were getting ready to go home, we went out to dinner with Distance Nerding, and the DeLong family cosplay was there. And then there was another gentleman that was there, but I had no idea who this guy was. So we're just, all sitting there eating dinner, and we're talking about your con. And I was like, oh yeah, man, I love seeing all the Dipper Pines and Mabels, from Gravity Falls. There was a bunch of people doing Gravity Fall cosplay. And I was like, because of course, we're in that area where that storyline is from. And a little did I know, but the other gentleman that was there was one of the voice actors from Gravity Falls. So I'm sitting here mansplaining Gravity Falls to one of the actors from the show. He was the one. He also does Space Ghost, Coast to Coast.
Andy Merrill.
Andy, yeah.
The voice of Brack, one of my favorites.
Yes. So I guess he had done a character on Gravity Falls as well. Right. That's who I had gone out to dinner with, and just embarrassed myself a little bit.
How great is that, though? How great is that, to get those kind of perks, and expect the unexpected, I guess, when you go to a Colossus Girl show.
Right. Are there things that you want to try or do that you haven't had a chance to get to yet? I find with some of the cons, it seems to be a very fine line between being boring and not having anything and just being way too overstimulating. Are there things, some places have gaming rooms and they have a video game room, and then they have, panels, and they have all, a dance night, and then they have, all kinds of things. How do you guys find your balance for your shows?
We've tried many, many things, and there are things that we've done that many things we've done and most conventions emulate what we've done. I'm still waiting for a convention to create their own comic book, though. I still think we're the only ones to create our own comic book
Wow. Yeah.
with our own mascots. But we're going to be doing something in Tri-Cities, Washington, that I've been wanting to do ever since I was a kid, going back to conventions in the 80s, and that is doing a movie room that goes 24/7 from Friday at noon
Right.
till Sunday at 10 p.m. And
Wow.
so you can go down to your hotel room, go down to where the convention is, go to
Right.
the movie room at 3 a.m. and be watching Pacific Rim or whatever's playing. You know what I
Right.
mean? I
Right.
mean,
Right.
those were some really good times. And that's something we're actually going to be able to do finally next year that I've been wanting to do for a long time. But it's
Wow.
things like that where attendees have more freedoms, more options. And it's like one year, though, we'll have like 2 panel rooms. And
Mhm.
maybe the following one year we'll have 1 panel room and then maybe a board game room or a video
Mhm.
game room. And we just mix it up every year. It's never the same thing.
Right.
So you just never know what you're going to get, but we always say it's going to be something good.
Wow.
So yeah.
That reminds me, I did I used to be a spoken word poet, and we did a 3 day straight. We did one show that went for 3 days straight. So every hour you were bringing in a different poet, which, is a little draining at 3 a.m.
Yeah. True.
How does this, and I'll ask this question. If it's something you're not comfortable asking, please don't feel that you have to, but does this make it difficult in your, or maybe even easier in your personal life, like with your marriage? If you're always talking about conventions, I know you guys do it together and they say, well, you never work with your husband or your wife. But it seems to me that this can almost be kind of a bonding thing because it's something you guys are doing together. And I don't know, it seems to me when I see Marina, she seems to be enjoying herself, other than, doing the stress of working the business, but she
Right.
seems to be enjoying talking to the people and
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
How does it put a lot of strain on your relationship?
My part of it is getting the guests and dealing with the guests, but she does the rest of it. To be honest with you, it's you have to, if you're going to do it where it's a business situation. A convention is a business, like we talked about before. It's not
Right.
fun and games for the promoter. It's an actual real business. You have a business license. You have all of that.
Right.
So it's a real business, and you have to learn to separate the personal life you have with each other and the business. So
Mm.
with Colossus Girl Entertainment, she's the CEO. I'm like the president of business operations. So before a convention, we will have a meeting, like say at an Applebee's or something,
Right.
and it's a serious meeting where we talk about the things we have to do, changes, whatever is being discussed in that meeting. And it's done professionally, almost like we're work associates. We're not have no relationship besides that. Like we just know each other like people who work together. And that's how we behave.
Right.
When it's off hours, then it's the marriage relationship. But
Right.
we've been very good at not having one bleed into the other,
Right.
and if we feel that starts to bleed into the other, we'll do something like, okay, let's go to Disneyland this weekend. Let's blow off some steam,
Right.
or if a vendor's causing a problem or something, and okay, well, let's not talk about it at 11 p.m. This is
Work
regular
business.
time. Let's talk
Right.
about it at 10 a.m. tomorrow. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you kind of have to do that, and it takes a lot of discipline. But we've had our moments, everybody does, but that's anyone who's in a marriage or in a relationship.
Right. Well, I mean, if you've been in marriage or business for 10 years, I imagine a couple of discussions have come up. So, okay, so you're moving into the tri-state area in Washington. We're moving out of the California, the Northern Bay area. You've got Medford, Oregon. You got Idaho. You're kind of taking over this region up here. Are you planning on trying to expand? Like, I mean, would you ever consider doing a show on the East Coast, or maybe something down south, are you trying to kind of take a region and be comfortable owning that region?
Yeah. To do East Coast stuff, conventions,
Right.
you had to fly out there, and you had to think about, it's a whole new set of problems. How are you going to get your banners out there? How are you going to get your PA systems out there, your
Right.
equipment? When we do shows, it's almost like Aerosmith going on tour. You know what I mean?
Right.
All that equipment goes with us. So, we're going to Reno, Medford a couple times, Tri-Cities. Those are no more than 8 hours away.
Right.
So you have to think about that. Are there cities I would like to go to? Sure. We were in South Dakota last month. I thought, wow, this would be a kind of a cool place to do a show. But then you have to think about, how you're going to get there and how you're going to do it. We looked at Montana a couple times. We've had people asking us to come into Helena, Montana. But we don't think it's the right moment because we've done the research on it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like Idaho, this will be its 6th year next year. And before that, 2015 and what have you, we looked at everything. We said, Idaho's not ready for a con yet. It's just not ready yet. You know what I mean? And then when we felt it was ready, then we decided to do it. So like Montana, South Dakota, those places, once we feel that they've come up to a point where we feel comfortable of them having an event out there, then we'll do it. Because if you just throw something out there and it's a disaster and
that's how
no one shows up,
right?
It's embarrassing. And we've never, ever had that situation. Even with CampbellCon, it was always a great show. So
do you have like a rule of thumb, like you need 6 months? If I'm going to do a show in South Dakota, I need a good solid 6 months to promote, or I need 8 months or a year. Do you kind of have a general rule of thumb that you work by?
Yeah, each show takes a year. So as one show ends, once that show ends, it ends on a Sunday, right? We'll take maybe a couple of days off, but that following Wednesday, we're starting working on that show for the next year.
Wow.
So
does that get difficult when you're doing like 6 shows a year? Do shows bleed over together for you, or does it get tough to juggle all these balls at one time?
Well, yeah, like when I'm on a podcast and they said, oh, well, Silver Age Comic-Con's this weekend. When is Metal Art Comic-Con? I'll say, let me get back to you on that one. I don't remember,
Right.
Or sometimes I'll forget which actor is going to which show. I do that from time to time. Or I'll tell an actor, hey, I'll see you in Reno. And he's all, I'm not going to Reno. I said, you sure? He goes, no, I'm going to like Alameda County. I go, oh, okay. Sorry, my mistake. So sometimes that happens because you're constantly thinking. So we have Anna Medford coming up next weekend. But right after that, I mean, we'll be thinking 2025. I mean, after Gem State Comic-Con in Boise, right when that ended, we're thinking 2025 Boise. So right when we're beginning to do our series of events for the year, we're already thinking 2025.
Wow.
So we're always 1 year.
Go ahead.
We're always like 1 year ahead.
Right.
So it's like you're focusing on the show you're doing now, but you're also focusing on the show you just finished last week that you're setting up for the following year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. I can't believe time has gone by so quickly. We've only got a couple of minutes left here.
You have an amazing questions, and I told you that last time I was here on your show. You have excellent, I think, questions that are well thought out and researced. You know what you're talking about. That's for
sure. I'm just a guy that likes talking to people. What do you see for obviously, again, I know we talked about Tri-State, but for the upcoming future, if we were to look 5 years down the line, is this something that you can see yourself doing for 10 years, 20 years? Is this something you would like to make a family kind of thing where you pass the tradition down, or Well, what is your future plan for Colossal Girl?
Right. Well, to answer Mezzo, I don't have my reading glasses. A proper venue is a convention center or fairgrounds is good, as long as it's in a good neighborhood. So that answers her question. In regards to me doing shows, I have to be honest with you. I talk to people saying, I can't wait to retire in 20 years, or I can't. I will never retire. I will never retire.
And a lot of people that haven't done this don't, because I have put on a couple of conventions and they don't realize. I mean, it's like planning out a wedding. There are so many moving parts that it really, not just any monkey can jump in off the streets to do it. It really takes a lot of dedication and effort. So,
Right.
When you say that, you would like to retire, but you can't, I totally understand it. It's like this need to create and to do something good for your community, even though you know how much of a toll it takes on your personal, on your brain.
I almost feel like a Joe Montana or a Marcus Allen, where
Right.
you don't know when to quit, and you're not gonna quit because you love it and you like bringing smiles to kids' faces. But it's something that it'll never stop. It'll never end. I'll be the 85-year-old guy who's in the wheelchair checking on vendors. And, here I'm coming to a point in my life where I'm not 20 years old anymore. So
Right.
Now I'm doing things like intermittent fasting. I'm watching what I eat. I'm staying healthy, almost like a football or a baseball player, because I need to be in some kind of shape to be able to lift tables or chairs or do the things that I need to do at a convention. I can't depend on other people to do it. I have to do it. But once I get to the point where I can't do it anymore or I kick the bucket, I have 2 sons and a daughter who want to take it over. So I think, 40 years down the road, there'll still be these shows that we've created. It'll just be my kids doing it, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. Do you find this and again, this is another one of those questions that if you're not comfortable answering, you were talking about your health, and I know even for myself, as I get older, and it gets harder to push those carts in and out. You really have to take care of your health. Do you do exercising or things for even your mental health as well? What do you do to kind of make sure that you don't get too stressed out or, it doesn't become overwhelming? Because I think if I had to run 6 different if I had to run 2 shows in a year, I'm going to start strangling people. I don't know how you hold it all together.
Last Friday, we went to see David Spade live on stage, the Friday before that, we went to see Jerry Seinfeld live on stage. We do things like that to give us a vacation, not just only our bodies, but the mind.
Right.
And these comedians, to watch comedians and to be able to laugh, because laughing is healthy.
Right.
And also like going out and seeing Guar in concert when they come into town.
I don't know how healthy that is.
But it's such a relief. It's just, they're stress relievers.
Right.
If I can't do something like that, I turn on my Switch. I play a lot of video games. I have a huge video game library where, I'll sit down and play a JRPG, or I'll play a beat 'em up, or I'll play Street Fighter 2 or whatever it is, just to give my mind that break. Because, at 2:00 in the morning, all of a sudden you'll wake up and you'll be like, oh, I got to do this or I got to do that. You know what I mean? And there's a reason why promoters on the weekend of an event only gets maybe 4 hours sleep in 3 days. There's just so much going on in that mind and so much stuff you have to do that, just something as video games. But exercise is a good stress reliever too. Even if you're just sitting watching The Hobbit on TV and you have, some small little barbells and you're just doing this for a while. Anything helps. Treadmill helps. Like I said, I do intermittent fasting, so I'll have 1 meal a day.
Right.
a light meal and just a salad and just
You doing
lots
like
of
an
water.
8-16?
Yeah,
8 hours
you
on, 16 off?
yeah, and
Yeah, I know all
sometimes,
about that, my
yeah,
friend.
and sometimes you treat yourself to an ice cream once in a while, and
Right.
and those are just special things. But you have to do those things, or you will go crazy.
Right. Well, you know what? I will tell you what, I appreciate you talking about the health part of it, not just physical health, but the mental health, because I think a lot of times, and especially in this day and age, people, they push themselves to exhaustion because they feel that that's what they have to do. And a lot of times they do this in silence. But, it's good for other people to know that, even people such as yourself who are, so dedicated and committed and have so much going on, that you have to try to find time to manage those things for yourself as well.
Right, and there was a time when we had a show in Merced called California Republic Comic Con. This was about 6 years ago, and I just had to sit down and I had to hydrate because I felt that I was going to faint. You know,
Right.
and when you're doing events on the weekends of events, it's like a 72-hour football game.
Right.
I mean, and there are some times where you walk into the venue and the staff didn't set up one table like they were supposed to.
Right.
So there's been times Marina and I are setting up 250 tables by ourselves, and we have
Wow.
8 hours to get it done before the vendors start coming in.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of things that go on that people don't know about.
Right. I know for me, in fact, I remember specifically August 3rd of last year, or August 4th, we did an event in Sacramento called Battle in the Park. It was just getting a whole bunch of nerds together in the park to beat each other up with lightsabers. But
I love it.
we had brought in a couple, I brought in a couple Star Wars celebrities as well, and we did signings, and we kind of made it an outdoor con in the park.
Nice.
But I remember that day, I had pushed myself so hard, and apparently I didn't realize I wasn't drinking water, but I literally ended up in the emergency room that night because I was pushing myself so hard. I didn't realize it, not drinking any water. We're in Sacramento in a 90 plus degree weather. And as a producer, I'm just trying to think of what I need to get done to make this event happen. But, going to the emergency room that night was literally a wake up call for me that, I need to stop putting these events before my own body.
Yeah, and it's so easy to fall into that where you're like, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, take a break, have some water. And you're like, no, I got to go forward. I got to keep moving. And that's where you start falling into trouble.
Exactly. Well, Mr. Dave, I appreciate everything that you and Miss Marina do. You guys, I don't think a lot of people realize how much happens in the background to get these events on. It's not just like you call up these people, these celebrities, they magically appear, and all of a sudden there's a free venue there. There is a lot of work, and I really appreciate everything you do to put on a show that I really feel like when I come to your show, you are thinking about that show from the audience perspective, not from the producer's perspective. Right. And that's what I enjoy about your shows.
Yeah, you have to put the attendees first. It's their show. It's not your show. It's their show. Right. You're just setting it up for them to have fun.
Exactly.
But, what a lot of people, they don't see in a lot of the details is after an event and you have to pay the hotel $15,000 in hotel fees. You know what I mean? They don't see that kind of thing, but
they don't see the booking of the airline flights and trying to make sure everybody's happy and
right. Or someone misses their flight or something like that happens. But, but we don't want the fans to see that. We want them to come in and we want them to have that mental health break where they're just having a great time. They can forget about the real world. Let me tell you what's happening in our world today. You need to have events like this to get away from the real world. Right. You don't want to be reminded of the real world. So go to a show and forget about the realities for a while. Get on your Captain America suit or your Gundam outfit, whatever it is, and just be someone else for a while. It's like, you ever see Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Right.
And the sales guy for Total Recall goes, you know what the greatest thing about Total Recall is? You take a vacation from yourself. And that's kind of what conventions are. You take a vacation from yourself a little bit too, and and when you have a great show and you have a good time, you can get ready for tackle the real world again.
Excellent. I love it. That's definitely a great philosophy. I think it's important to do these things. Sometimes we think of, these things are, they're just foolish or they're silly. No, it's a way for you to recharge your brain so that you can be the best that you can be for your family, for your job, for the things that you need to do. You need to take these kind of mental health breaks. So for everybody out in the audience right now, I encourage you to get to Anna Medford for your own mental health. I'm not doing this for anything else but for your protection, all right?
And spend some family time or some friend time together.
Exactly, and come make some new friends.
Right, and you'll meet a lot of new friends for sure.
Excellent. David, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate everything you do. I cannot wait to see you and all the extravagant things that you have for us this coming weekend. And for everybody else in the audience, if you want more information about Anna Medford, you can go to annamedford.com. We also have information in our description box that's going to have a lot of the Facebook information and all the other information. Our fabulous director, Mez.
A lot of free swag and a lot of exclusives to pick up for free. So,
that's the other thing too. You're the only show that I know of that does like a cool poster for all of your shows.
Right, and free comic books.
You're right. What more can you ask for?
Right. you get more in free swag than you do paying to get in.
That's right. That's right. That's a value, my friends.
Yeah.
All righty, Dave. I will see you in a few more days. 7 more days. Something like that. 6 more days.
Something like that, yeah.
Soon. I don't know what it is. All right, my friend. You have a beautiful night. Give Marina my love.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Ow! Anna Medford, make sure you make it out there. That is this coming weekend. Today is Sunday, so that'll be this coming Saturday and Sunday in Medford, Oregon. I encourage all of you to get out there if you can. David and Marina worked so hard to put on fantastic shows. And Mez, I didn't put up the graphics for Nerdy News. I made the James Earl announcement, but I didn't do the other one because I didn't know. I didn't know what all the information was for Nerdy News. But I did do guess that Saber. All righty. I did do the videos for that. What's up, Zach? Thank you for tuning in. And yes, free comic books and posters. You definitely cannot go wrong with that. Why? Oh, you're not going to be there. Oh, well, we'll try to bring a poster home for you. All right. So this part of the show, as you may know, we do a Guess That Saber. So with no further ado, let's see what we... Oh, crap. No! Oh, man, I'm sorry. Nobody saw that. You didn't see that. There's nothing to see here. Let's start with this one. Who knows? Who can tell me whose saber is this or whose sabers are these? Well, yes. Thank you. Thank you, CNs. That's the second one. But whose sabers are this one? Yes, thank you. That will be coming later. I messed that up. I'm sorry, Bez. Who knows what saber this is? This is a well, they're obviously no, it's totally not. It is not Ahsoka Tano, but it is Ventress, Asajj Ventress. And she even had a different one. She had a straight one that she gets later on, but still Sean, that's a good guess as well. Somebody knows their sabers. All right. Don't say anything, CNs. For those of you that didn't see the mess up at the beginning, do you know whose saber this is? It looks kind of like a royal scepter or something, doesn't it? And actually, this is one that we have at the store right now. So if this is a saber that you like, this is a saber that can be provided for you. Any guesses on whose saber this is? It He is a video game character. Wow. Alrighty. Will I get copyrighted for that? Can I hum things, or does it have to be the actual music? Any guesses? I'll give you 5 more seconds. 5, 4. Yes, thank you. And I know, I gave it away at the beginning there. But this says Kyle Katarn was first introduced in Star Wars Dark Forces, a Doom clone that saw players assume control of Katarn on missions for the Rebel Alliance. Excellent. Thank you, Mezzo. I appreciate you having those for us. And that was Guess That Saber. We will have every week, we have 2 more sabers for you. All righty. Let me pull this off. All righty, guys. That is pretty much going to be the show. I appreciate everybody who came in late. Zach, Cians, Kevin, everybody else on here. And of course, Mets, I'm surprised you're up this late. But we miss you dearly. And do not forget, you guys are the first ones to know. Next Sunday, I didn't think about the fact that I won't be here next Sunday. But Mez will be back, and she will be giving away a free saber next week because we hit 2,200 subscribers this week, and I wasn't ready with getting home. I wasn't ready for more responsibility. I was happy just to get Guess That Saber up. So do not forget, next Sunday, 7 p.m., not only do we have a fantastic show for you, as always, and in fact, I could probably tell you right now who our guest is going to be. Our guest next week, Matthew Madden Smith is our guest for next week. Let me see. And then I actually have us booked out for the next month, Bobby Zavala. So make sure to tune in next week. We will be giving away a saber. Tell all of your friends. All you have to do is tune in and leave any comment, any nice comment, please. This is a family show. And then at the end of the show, somebody takes that saber home. Saber Sundays, that's right. All right. So with no further ado, thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out with me. With no further ado, this is our talk of the town. Take it easy, y'all. Love you. Peace.